The Nissan Leaf is a pioneer. Since its release in 2010, Nissan has sold more than 280,000 worldwide, making the Leaf the best-selling electric vehicle on the planet. However, 2010 is a long time ago, so now, Nissan has released a new Leaf, with a claimed 243 miles of range from a single charge, up from the old car's official 155 miles. That's not the only thing that's changed. Nissan has also given the Leaf a new look, deliberately making it more broadly appealing and less kooky than the divisive outgoing model. This, along with a raft of other improvements, will help it maintain its position at the top of the EV sales charts. The previous Leaf was a global car, meaning it went largely unchanged from country to country. That's good for Nissan's profits but bad for Leaf drivers in the UK, because we typically prefer more luxurious cars than the Japanese market, with higher quality materials inside. Here, we are trying it in Japanese market specification. The original Leaf was soft riding and not all that much fun to drive. The new version is different from the off. It smooths out bumps well for the most part, but overall it feels firmer than before, and Nissan plans to further stiffen the suspension for European buyers. We'd argue that this isn't necessary. We enjoyed the instant power of the original Leaf, a characteristic of all electric vehicles. It's even more noticeable in the new car, with a torque boost of around a quarter to 236 pounds-ft. The electric motor produces 148 bhp and is powered by a higher capacity, 40 kWh battery pack, rather than the earlier car's 30 kWh unit. Braking is very different in the new Leaf. A new e-pedal is at the forefront of Nissan's innovations. Take your foot off the accelerator and the car gently regenerates electricity. Or, what should be gently? It's a bit forceful on the regenerative braking, so passengers will bob their heads from the deceleration. It's an intuitive system, though. It'll slow you gradually to a halt, on flat roads or hills, and will slow the car to a stop, unless the accelerator is pressed again. It also holds the car in place when stopped, rather than creeping the car forward. Nissan believes that the e-pedal could cut down on around 90% of regular braking done by the driver. Noise is rarely an issue for electric cars, but remarkably, Nissan has made the Leaf even quieter than before. True, you notice road noise more as a result, but it's never in any way loud or intrusive. As before, the Leaf isn't much fun to drive. The Leaf's initial squirt of acceleration is about as exciting as it gets. There's no feeling to the steering, and it's a bit indirect. Nissan says its steering will be made quicker for the UK market, taking around 2 turns lock to lock, rather than 3 turns for Japanese cars. Whether that makes it more fun to drive is yet to be seen. A key point of the new Leaf is its propellant system, which, when selected, can control the car's acceleration, steering and braking, providing you stay in one lane. You need to keep your hands on the steering wheel when using the system, and, of course, your eyes on the road. It's as easy to use as adaptive cruise control. Just press the propellant button, set the speed you'd like the system to default to when there's no car in front of you, and it'll stick to it, or maintain the same speed as and distance from the car in front, when there is one. A beep a few seconds later, and an icon on the instrument cluster appears, signifies that the car is now able to steer itself. Also new to the car is Propellant Park, a self-parking system that, according to Nissan, beats all other, more clumsy systems that have come before it. It's controlled from the infotainment screen, which shows a bird's-eye view of the car and highlights parking spaces available. Hold down the Propellant Park button on the center console and the car will park itself, controlling steering, acceleration, braking and gear selection. Let go of the button, say, If a pedestrian ambles into the path of the car, and it'll pause instantly, resuming when the button is held down again. A particularly impressive function of the system is its ability to let you select a space when there are no marked bays, guided by a box that can be moved by the driver to highlight the gap into which the car will then maneuver. The interior we sampled is another area that's due to change before the Leaf reaches the UK. The dashboard, which is made from an expensive-feeling plastic, will be replaced by a unit more similar to that of the Micra, so a little more color and a lot more plush material will be used, Nissan says. As it is, though, the dashboard is uncluttered, with a sensible amount of buttons that are clearly laid out. However, areas such as the door cards could use a little more rigidity. They flex slightly when you pull the door shut. Clearly, as one of the things you touch the most regularly, and with the most force, that needs addressing. The less rakish exterior and more conventional hatchback shape means that practicality should take a boost over the first-generation Leaf, and headroom is certainly not an issue for 4 adults. Even long-bodied 6-footers will fit comfortably in the front, and reasonably in the back too. If there's one complaint to be made about the interior, it's the driving position, which is slightly too high in relation to the height of the top of the shallow angled windscreen. It makes the cabin feel less spacious than it is. If the seat could be lowered just a little more, taller drivers wouldn't feel so claustrophobic. Ahead of the car's UK launch, Nissan hasn't confirmed specs, but it's likely that the new Leaf will follow the same trim levels as the rest of the Nissan range, with Visia and Alcenta making up the lower models and Tecna's the premium offering. Nissan insists that pricing will remain the same. That's a good thing, because one of the previous Leaf's weaknesses was its price. So, what is essentially a price cut, given the likelihood of extra tech and plushness, sweetens the deal, especially when considering the ever-increasing running costs of petrol and diesel cars. Overall, it's a thorough and convincing update to an EV that has slipped down the class as better rivals have joined it. In its tested, Japanese spec form, it's a capable car. If the changes promised by Nissan have the right effects, it'll be a serious contender for class honors.
Nissan unveiled the next generation Leaf last month, and the automaker has gradually started rolling out the new all-electric vehicle to a few markets. The vehicle is apparently off to a relatively good start, as Nissan confirms that it got 9,000 orders in for the new Leaf in less than 2 months. The 2018 Leaf has been available in Japan since last month, and it launched in Norway, Germany, Austria, France, and Holland earlier this month. At the Tokyo Motor Show this week, Nissan Europe AV Director Gerrit Dunsmore confirmed to Automotive News Europe that the Japanese automakers sold 3,500 Leafs in Europe since the launch. The number increases to 9,000 when including the Japanese market. It's not clear how many of them have been delivered yet. Dunsmore says that most of the European orders have been coming from Norway. They have been our first customers and our most loyal customers, and we wanted to give something back to the people who trusted us from day one back in 2010 and 2011, Dunsmore said, adding that more than 2,000 existing and new customers in Norway already have purchased the Leaf. The new electric vehicle has yet to launch in the US. It is expected to arrive at American dealerships in early 2018 inches. It will be interesting to follow sales of Nissan's next-gen Leaf over the next few months for a few reasons. The most interesting one, in my opinion, is to see how customers respond to the fact that Nissan already confirmed that another version with a longer range will soon be offered. The new Leaf comes with a design refresh, a few new convenience features, and a new 40 kWh battery pack which enables about 150 miles of range. That's a nice upgrade from the previous version, especially at roughly the same price of $30,000 before incentives, but we were expecting a 60 kWh battery pack to enable over 200 miles of range. That version has been delayed a few months and it will launch only next year, says Nissan. Of course, it is expected to be more expensive than the 40 kWh version, which will make it interesting. There's an unwritten rule that a long-range electric vehicle has over 200 miles of range, but that version of the Leaf is expected to start at about the same as Tesla's Model 3 or Chevy Bolt EV, $35,000 before incentives. I have the feeling that a lot of buyers might skip the range upgrade and stick to the cheaper version, which can end up costing less than $25,000 after incentives in the US. It could end up being a good example that EVs are not all about the range.